I guess first and foremost, welcome to the Brennan Games podcast 1. I think
Hello.
we need to talk. What do we need to talk about?
We have all kinds of topics
All
that
kinds
we
of
prepared,
topics.
but it depends on what we're going to talk about, and we're going to make a slight detour on topics, I hope.
Hopefully. Always detours. So
Anyway, this is James.
hello.
I'm Ivan, and we are from Brennan Games community, and yeah, like you said, it's our first podcast.
So bear with. Really do bear with.
Bear with.
So one thing to note actually straight away, I think it's really important to note straight away, is me and Ivan, we are not in the same room. We are doing
not.
this.
Not even in the same country.
Not even in the same country. We are doing this through the power of the internet.
Power of technology.
Yeah, the power of technology. What a fantastic thing it is. And it's the internet, isn't it, that allows us to achieve things like this.
Yeah.
It allowed us to meet, first of all. We'll do sort of
Yeah.
a bit of background on like where we are, who we are, all this sort of thing. So
We met almost half a year ago or more.
yeah, over 6 months, I
Something
reckon.
like that.
I reckon over 6 months.
Yeah. We met through Reddit, I think. We were both looking for someone to play games with. And yeah, we came across each other and played a lot of games. Started our YouTube channels. Now we're starting a podcast channel.
Yeah.
So we're doing good.
Yeah, I think we found each other, yeah, like you said, on Reddit. We were looking for gaming. We are currently, I guess you consider gamers. I wouldn't. It's difficult to tag yourself as a gamer, isn't it? Really, because
Everyone's a gamer.
everyone's a gamer. Yeah, like literally, like once upon a time, my dad was a gamer when we used to play PS1, and when I was younger, and we'd play like this motorbiking game. That was. That was my dad being a gamer. But I would consider myself more of a gamer, but maybe not as much of a gamer as other people. I feel like we're sort of middle ground gamers. We're regular, would you say?
Yeah, definitely not professionals.
No, far from.
Just casual gamers that like to play games, basically.
Casual gamers, like we do take it seriously. We do. Often, sometimes. Because we do like to take it seriously, because I think it's important to take games seriously at the same time as enjoying them, because it's really
Exactly.
it's a bit crap in it when you're playing with someone and they're just sort of like they're on the other end of the spectrum. They're taking it too seriously, right? For example, they're taking it way too seriously. They're screaming and yelling. They're crying into their screen, and sort of like shouting absurdities. And it's just hard to play with someone like that, because you're sort of like, you know what I mean? You're struggling to make conversation. You're struggling to keep things kind of lively.
Yes.
And
yes, I know what you mean.
and all they're doing is screaming constantly, and and they're taking it way too seriously, and you can't handle it. And then you've got the other end of the spectrum, where you've got people that you sort of say, "Oh, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that?" And they're like, "No," and then they sort of like they don't really want to do anything at all, and then it's like you end up just sort of like drifting apart and then never speaking again. And you never get anything
We
done.
actually had that phase when I think we're still in that
Still
phase.
in that phase, yeah.
Well, we don't really know what we want to play.
But
we want to play
Yeah.
something, but we don't have that right game where we both would enjoy playing it and like reach different goals and stuff. And I don't know. It's a weird phase. I hope we're gonna get out of it soon.
Yeah, I
But
think
I think we had a fair amount of fun on Rocket League.
oh god, yeah. No, we've had plenty of fun.
We even made a
Rocket League.
video of us playing Rocket League, like a montage.
Yeah,
What else? What else did we play?
we played Rocket League. We touched on. I can't believe we're going to say this. Farming Simulator 2017. Really? Do you know what? It's not a bad game.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It's something you can really sink your time into if you've got sort of fuck all to do. I guess the way
but
is to
but
put
you
it.
have to be so dedicated to it.
You do, yeah, you do, and there's sort of a lot of technicalities that go into it. I think I spoke about this before. Like, I lose interest in something that you really need to sort of like. It's not instant, you know. It's you really have to put in those hours, and it's like I feel like I shouldn't be applying this much effort to a game. I feel like this should be applied to, you know, something more maybe productive is a term. You know, like I think games are fantastic, but I think they're meant to be, they're made for relaxing, aren't they? They're not made.
Yeah.
You know, this whole sort of side of the sport side of it. Even then, I didn't enjoy it when I was younger, and I played football, and people take it too seriously. It's too technical. I just wanted to play for fun.
But there's also like being professional gamer.
Yeah.
That's their job, playing games. But I mean, it's okay. They're earning money, good money from it, actually.
Their job's a job.
But I've heard there's this gamer like that got really popular. I don't know what game he's playing. He comes from my country, and so there's a news article about him where he earned, I don't know, almost $1 million from this tournament where he won with his team and stuff. Like I said, not sure what game it was. I was thinking about, like, it said that they have to train like several hours per day. Like, train, that means playing that game over and over again, like getting better at it. And, you know, that means that, well, from personal experience, if I play the game repetitively over and over the same day for 8 hours, I would get bored of it. Like after 3 days, maybe. But this guy has to. I mean, he doesn't have to, but that's his bread.
I guess
that's his money.
That's his bread and games. I guess.
Bread and games.
I guess. I guess when it is your job, you know, some people say to me, you know, I'm in the sort of the music industry, right? And people say to me, like, how can you just sort of listen to music day in, day out, all the time? And how can you live in that sort of environment where it's so unsure, it's so risky? And it's like, it's because I love it. It's because I really, really love it. And I think for these professional gamers, for these guys that practice for hours playing the same game, you know, it's because they love it. It's because they really, like you said, it's their bread. It's like, and that's why they do it. I think it's the fact that it's not just the fact that they're going to get a paycheck at the end of the month. I think it's that I guess they're the thrill of it, because it is a sport and there is that thrill of the sport, but it's the enjoyment of the sport. I think maybe it's good at looking at it as a sport. Maybe it's better to look at it as a sport, because then you're going to see it as a more sort of competitive thing rather than the sort of relaxed side of gaming. You know, where we could never be professional gamers because
never.
We just wouldn't have the time or the effort. Like, both you and me work. I'm in university as well, like, which just takes up so much time. So I think, you know, you really have to drop everything to do this sort of shit.
Yeah. And it's also a big risk to do so.
Real big risk
in the gaming industry. If you're willing to go professional, it's a really big risk.
I feel like, though, compared to most sports, being such a sit down sport, a virtual reality sport, if you could say, I think there's sort of like retirement age is a lot kind of higher. You know, you get football players, and when you hear about a football player that's like 30 plus. You're like, Jesus, they must be wheeling him around the pitch. You know, like, you think 30 plus, like, you know, that's really old in football and rugby and things like that. Like, well, maybe not 30 in rugby, but definitely in football, 30 plus is pushing the boundary. But you could be 50 and still your fingers are nimble as ever. You know.
Well, for example, that's Buffon, the Italian goalkeeper.
Buffon.
I think he's over 40 now. Or nearly 50.
Yeah.
I'm really not sure. And he's still playing. he could have retired, I don't know, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. He was one time the most expensive goalkeeper of all times.
Yeah, he was a fantastic goalkeeper.
Yeah. And he still is not retired. He's still playing games.
He won't give up. They are asking him to finish. Please, Buffon, just stop. Just stop. Your skin is falling off.
No.
You look like a wreck. But he's like, no. Jesus.
But Buffon, he was like, when I was younger, he was my idol because I was also a goalkeeper when I was younger.
Ah, there we go.
Him and Van der Sar, if you still remember him.
I remember Van der Sar. Yeah.
Oh fuck. He was brilliant.
See, wasn't Buffon known for the scorpion kick, or am I thinking of someone else?
No, that was. I can't remember his name, but I think
that was a different goalkeeper.
Somewhere from Latin America.
Okay.
I think.
Because he famously went to save the ball by scorpion kicking it. Yeah. Weirdest way to, what goes through your mind? You think I've got my hands, I've got my whole body. Let's jump forward and thrust my heels. So if anyone is watching this or listening to this and doesn't know what a scorpion kick is, what you're doing essentially is you're throwing yourself forward, flicking your heels back towards like the back of your head, and kicking the ball with the back of your heel. So you look like a scorpion in midair, basically.
Yeah.
Which is just, I don't know what was going through that bloke's mind, but it bloody worked, didn't it? It worked. And
Balls
it got
of steel.
Balls of steel.
What would happen if he didn't manage to do a scorpion
kick? Like a bit of a muppet, wouldn't he, really?
Oh my god. I think he would get fired instantly.
Can you get fired? Is being fired in football a thing?
Well, yeah, if they end your contract before time.
It's like, but that's the thing. It doesn't. You never really hear like so and so got fired. You hear like the business side of football being fired, but you never hear a football player got fired. You get like dropped. There's like the political terms. You get like sort of like let go, dropped. The ship has sailed. And it's just on the topic of football. Actually, it is. God, this topic has been talked to death.
Oh yeah,
but it's a massively I consider overpaid job. Now
it is. Well, it is basically just a business now.
It is.
That's what it is.
It's an advertisement business.
Everyone knows that.
Brand
I don't know
business.
why we're talking about it. It's just facts.
But I'm going to bring this up again, and I will be always bringing this up in every podcast. The comparison between that and music, right? So you've got football players that are earning millions. We've got musicians that are earning millions. And a lot of people, they, quite fairly say, why does that person deserve to earn millions? All they're doing is just all they're doing is singing a bloody song. All they're doing is, and I argue, actually there's a lot of effort and time and money that goes into that. And it's like a business, it's like a company. When you are at that millions stage, you're no longer a musician, you are a brand, you are a business. Can you argue the same for a football player? Is it a yes and no?
Of course.
Because you see David Beckham's bottom everywhere in London on billboards, him selling Calvin Klein. These are sort of the brand partnerships. He's making money from other companies, sort of selling himself in different ways other than just football. Sort of the brand of David Beckham has become a thing, hasn't it? But can you argue the same for, I don't know, Petr Cech?
Well, it just...
I've never seen his ass on a billboard.
It depends on, where you go with your career.
Okay.
You have musicians that make their own perfume, for example.
Yeah.
And they are their own brand for this perfume. Mm-hmm. So I'm a musician. I made a perfume. In my video, like my music video, I'm gonna put a fucking bowl full of my perfume.
Yeah.
And sing around it, and dance. That's a commercial.
Mm. Even though it's music, you'd still see that as a commercial. Yeah.
Yes, that's a commercial for my product. But footballers, they don't have their own products. They make a commercial for other people's products. because they're a famous face. There's someone on the TV that you know, like, oh, this guy's a footballer. He kicks a ball on the field. I know it because
avid description, yes.
Because he kicked it so good, and yeah, basically it's just a face that's gonna pay.
Yeah, I think they wear certain boots, don't they, in games? That's a big thing. If you see so and so wearing a certain pair of boots in a game, you think, oh, he did really well in that game, and he was wearing some Nike 3270s or whatever. I'll go out and buy those, and that's where Nike think, that's where we can make money, because he happened to wear that brand. Therefore, we'll now endorse him, and we'll say, look, here's a free pair, which they always do. They do this in skateboarding, in rugby, they do it in every brand. They give them free shit. They say, look, wear it, show it off, and we'll make a shit ton of money from it. And here's the free. Normally, they start off with free stuff. And then they start getting into sort of endorsements. You start getting paid to wear this sort of stuff. But at the beginning, because you're earning bugger all, if you're a really small skateboarder and you get sponsored by what are they called? Fruit shoots. Do you know what fruit shoots are? Are there fruit shoots in Europe? Okay, so fruit shoots.
No, I don't know.
Fruit shoots are a child's fruit drink.
Okay.
They are. It's like a little bottle for kids. It's for kids. Like if you're seen
we have
as an adult
in Germany.
if you're seen as an adult having a fruit shoot, it'd be a bit weird, right? So they're for kids, and skateboarding and scootering at a young age is like really popular. Obviously, it's popular through the ages, but a lot of people get into it at a young age, and so Fruit Shoots decided to start sponsoring skateboarding and scootering fanatics, saying, look, if you come onto the sort of, it's like the Red Bull for kids.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, it's like Red Bull for kids, right? And so they see it as, if people see their friends on the Fruit Shoot brand, they're sponsored by Fruit Shoot, then they're going to go out and buy Fruit Shoot. And it's really fascinating to study that, because it's rare to see a company involve people of such a young age on a business side. So you've got toys adverts, right? And they utilize kids in those toys adverts because they think if the kid sees the advert, they're going to say, "Mummy, Daddy, I want that toy," right? They never it's never like an advert for parents to buy their kids something. It's rare that you'll see an advert, it'd be like John Lewis or Waitrose, these sort of fancy upmarket companies will advertise an advert for parents to buy something for their children, but normally it's directed straight at the children. But it's rare that the children will be involved on the business side of things, the actual sort of partnership side of things, because they're at such a young age. And so Fruit Shoots, to do that, is a really sort of controversial and interesting topic. I think it's impressive to do that and to sort of involve kids to earn money through. Really, it's like free advertisement through these kids.
It is, yeah. Well, when you mentioned Red Bull, Red Bull is just a drink, like the what's it called, fruity juice? No?
It's an energy drink, yeah.
It's just a drink, an energy drink, but it's advertised in extreme sports. Why is that?
So,
and why is it directed to extreme sports?
Okay, so this is really interesting, actually. Red Bull are a humongous company. One of my lecturers actually used to work at Red Bull in the sort of like marketing department, and she was telling me it's actually rare that you'll see a Red Bull advertising Red Bull anymore. They're actually advertising the things they do outside of Red Bull, and one of those things is extreme sports. So you see the planes, you've seen the little planes that fly around the cones in the water. You've got that. You've got the downhill biking. You've got the motocross. All these sorts of extreme sports. They really get involved with, just like GoPro. Actually, that's another one. GoPro is another one. and they get involved with them because their tagline is Red Bull gives you wings, right? So that's a metaphor for sort of if you drink Red Bull, you can go further. You know, just like the Duracell adverts, you can go further, right? So you drink Red Bull, it's an energy drink, gives you energy, and it boosts you to do crazy things like these extreme sports. And so they start
keep me awake while I'm driving 6 hours in the car.
yeah, like get me through this essay at 4 a.m. Yeah. They should like sponsor students. I swear, like they would make so much money. But anyway, so the reason why they go into these companies, the reason why they're called brand partnerships, where they basically they either organize their own events or they sponsor events. The reason why they do this is they know that they have now sort of established themselves as a drink that is involved with extreme sports. This would have been years ago they would have realised this. They would have realised, actually, a lot of our consumers are motocrossers, cyclists, runners, all this sort of thing. People that snowboarders and that sort of thing, that do crazy things, and they just so happen to collectively like Red Bull. And so they realised, to pump the brand even more, to pump the Red Bull brand even more, they'll start sponsoring these events, and they'll sell Red Bull at the events. They'll advertise them. They'll show TV shows. They've now got their own channel. I'm pretty sure they've got their internet TV, like really big on the internet. You can watch all the live sports on Red Bull on Facebook as well. That's a big thing on Facebook and Twitter. And so you can watch, and it always says Red Bull next to it. So it's another thing. Another company that does this really well is O2. So do you know? Have you heard of O2?
Yeah.
Yeah, so O2, the massive service provider, like phone service provider, internet service provider, everything. Yeah. They have these things called O2 arenas, and what these O2 arenas are they put on music events, they put on sports events, all these sorts of things, and it's called the O2 Arena. So you'll always know that place, even though it's not actually the O2 Arena. It wasn't built to be the O2 Arena. They bought it. And they said, let's call it the O2 Arena. They bought the rights to call it the O2 Arena. And so in doing that, everyone refers to it as the O2 at Brixton, the O2 Arena, the O2 blah, blah, blah.
It's the same thing here in Germany, for example, with football stadiums. Here in Munich, we have Allianz Arena.
Yep, Allianz
there's also a Mercedes-Benz Arena.
Oh, wow.
All kinds of different names, like company names, before the word arena.
yeah, and it's a classic form of kind of advertisement, PR, and just sort of branding. It's a branding thing. It's really nailing to the consumers and to the general public who you are. And the benefit, the reason why they did it, the reason why O2 bought the arena was so that they could then give benefits to the O2 customers. Because, what's the point in just shoving it in people's faces? Why are you going to get people to buy O2? Well, the reason why people are going to go with O2 is, for example, I'm with O2, I'll tell that openly. I'm with O2 and it's fantastic. I go to a gig and you show the bouncer at the front, and there's like a 300 person long queue, and I show the bouncer at the front, I say, look, I'm on O2, here's my priority. And he goes, yep, come straight through. And I go straight to the gig. Skip the line.
I've never heard about that.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic, seriously.
Wow.
That's at any O2 sort of owned venue, right? And sort of associated venues. And that's all across, especially like being in London, that's a really big thing. A lot of venues are owned by O2. They're sort of in the property business now, pretty much, with the amount of venues they own. And so it means that when you're with O2, you can skip the queue. And it's a really fantastic idea. Now, obviously, if you're thinking on long term, what if everyone goes on O2? Surely there's going to be queues for skipping the queue. But for now, that works greatly. And that, for me, was the reason why I left a certain provider and moved to O2. Because I was like, look, I'm going to all these gigs, but I'm having to wait like half an hour, sometimes an hour to get into this gig. And I'm watching all these people just piss by. And what's even better, it's just an absolutely fantastic idea that they had, was it's O2 priority. That's what it's called, to get you in. And the tagline is O2 priority for you and your mates.
All right.
Now, if that's not the most British thing you've ever heard ever, but the coolest thing ever, A, is being able to just walk straight past that queue and being like, yeah, lol, fuck you. Second part is being able to turn to your mates and go, oi lads, come on, we're getting in, right? because I went to this gig and we're sat there waiting in the queue, and I just realised, oh shit, I've got O2, I can get us in. And I was just sort of like, I didn't mention the O2 part. I just walked up to the bouncer, showed him, and I went, yeah, guys, it's all right, I got us in. And like, that is the coolest thing, right? Everyone's like, how'd you get us in? I was like, yeah, no, I know some people.
Doesn't matter.
I know O2, right? So it's brilliant. So it's a fantastic selling point, seriously. And everyone asks, how do you do that? Oh, you go, oh, I've got O2 Priority. And they go, oh shit, that gets you in and your mates for free?
That's their commercial.
They actually have adverts of people doing that.
Really?
Which is really cool. Obviously, they're set up. It's not like live footage. They should do live footage, but it's an environment that's been designed by them. But it's an advert of someone walking straight past a queue and walking straight into the venue, and it just shows what you can do. And they're all with their friends and everything. And there's this whole thing about like certain restaurants nearby give deals if you're on O2 by the venue because you're going to the venue and the restaurant. Blah blah blah. Really big thing is the restaurant venue business. Like if you ever go to a theatre. There'll be a restaurant attached to the theatre, and you can go have dinner at the restaurant while you're waiting for the theatre to start. And then they tell you in the restaurant when the theatre's starting, and you move from the restaurant to the theatre, and you go watch whatever you're going to watch, whatever play or performance, whatever. That's one thing that I've experienced in my lifetime, at least.
I have a question for you.
Shoot
So
away.
O2, that's an English company, is it?
I believe they might be American, but they're huge in England, at least. It's based in England.
So O2 in Germany, for example, it's not really... Well, it is popular, but...
It's not the main one.
It's not the main one, no. But it's not really... how should I say it? On a good word.
Oh, okay. It's not known. It's not trusted in a sense.
Yeah. I know people that live in central Munich. They get all the time good reception, no problems with the with the stuff and at all. So my question is, you do have telecom, the German telecom in England?
We don't actually. I don't think we do.
Really?
We've got British Telecom.
Well, it's not called German.
I imagine
telecom.
it's probably the same thing.
It's just T-com. That's what it calls.
Ours is called BT.
All right.
British Telecoms. It's short for
is
British
it purple?
Telecommunications. I think so. Yeah, it's roughly purple. They provide internet rather than phone. You can get the phone service, but they're more known for internet in England, the BT.
But why O2 is on a bad word? Because the German telecom, owns all the cables and...
Yeah.
Well, they're the most successful company in telephone industry and internet industry and stuff like that, and they lay all the cables throughout Germany.
Sure.
And all of the other companies, they rent the cable usage
from
telecom.
Classic.
Yeah. So that's why sometimes telecom is cheaper from other companies, but also sometimes, for example, the company I'm on now, I'm not going to say which one, is renting internet cables from telecom. And it's a lot cheaper for me to be on this company where I am right now than on telecom. I don't know why, but it is. And I get a lot faster internet for a lot cheaper price. Like a lot faster internet.
So
why is that?
So this is a really big thing. So I'll sort of talk from an English term because it's exactly the same. BT, British Telecoms in Britain, that is the number one internet service provider. Now they provide phone like cellular service, but they're not as big because they've established themselves as an ISP, an internet service provider. They're kind of more known for that. They have all the groundwork. They have all the cables. Other than Virgin, I'm pretty sure Virgin is the only other company that has its own cables. Every other company uses BT's cables, right? And some, like BT, have got fiber optic. They've got sort of like the original sort of dial-up cables. They've got the whole range of cables. And the reason why companies like BT, and I'll call it GT, German Telecom, the reason why they're so huge is because they would have established themselves first. They would have been one of the biggest companies to come up straight away because they would have basically been one of the founders of internet service providation. But also because they're probably involved with the government. So BT here are, if they're not a private, if they're if they were originally a private company, they're not anymore. They're government run in a sense, or government funded, because they were such a staple. It's what happens when a business becomes such a staple part of a society. The government kind of just engulfs it and takes over, or funds it and has certain rights to it. Now, like you said, everyone has access to those cables, and that's sort of like a law thing. You know, everyone should have access to those cables. Every company, everything like that. And the reason why they can offer cheaper rates is probably just because they've been able to buy it in a sense wholesale. You know how you can buy things wholesale and it's cheaper. So they've been able to buy sort of the production line cheaper and then sell it for even cheaper. Now, often it depends on your area. There's all these sorts of crap things that come into it. Sometimes it's just the way the business runs. Sometimes they can, because they're a smaller business, they don't have to fund so many people, and so they can offer a better service for a smaller amount of people. There's loads of things that come into it, but coming back to like sort of like the O2 versus the telecom thing, it's the reason why O2 is big here is because private company cellular services have established themselves better than things like government-run companies like BT and GT and things like that, because people have found that they just run better. I don't know. Maybe England is the pioneer for cellular service. I'm not sure, but in England, the private companies run better. Now, really interesting fact: just like the cables, there's no O2 satellite up in space. There's a satellite that's normally named SATA dash and then a long number, but that is normally just one satellite up there, and all the different companies can access it. And so everyone can access it, and that is provided for all. Now, the telecom company probably have a lot of ownership to that satellite, so they can offer a much better service. Now, O2, being an English company, are going over to Germany and trying to make business over there, but it costs a hell of a lot of money to provide service for another country. So it's going to take time. I imagine over a few years they might start to develop themselves. They realise, we can make a bit of money in Germany. We can make a bit more sort of cover, and we can sort of make sure that our company isn't just based in one country. But people trust the government-run company more. And because it's got it's authenticity. It's got a staple position, and that just allows them to improve their services constantly, more and more. Whereas on the internet side, if I'm honest, I don't know enough about it. I don't know enough about wholesale and all these sorts of things. I don't know enough about why companies get it cheaper than others, or why, obviously everyone's trying to offer different plans. Maybe it's the fact that you get yours cheaper because you're getting actually less for your money. You're getting better internet, but maybe you're not getting the full package. You're just getting specific internet.
I've read somewhere on some subreddit on Reddit that if you're if you don't like your provider, I'm talking about phone provider, like phone internet and calls and messages and stuff like that. If you're unhappy with them and you go ahead and call them to end your contract, they, like 98% of the time, they're gonna pull out some special offer that they made, quote, just for you.
Yeah.
The thing is, these companies, someone wrote that they worked in a company in Croatia, like a provider company. Yeah.
Sure.
They had a whole list of so-called hidden offers for people who are going to end their contracts. And also, if you go in a shop to make a contract, then you can ask, like, if you ask directly, if you ask them directly for them to make you a special offer, most of the time they will.
What if you just say that, like, someone down the road is offering a better deal, sort of thing?
Yeah, you can do that too. It's just basically just like you're on a market.
Yeah, you're
like
haggling. Yeah,
lettuce. I don't know. It's so weird that they do that, but the thing is, they can't do that to you.
Yeah.
Because they made the rules themselves.
This is the thing. It's a classic, like, oh my god, wait, businesses want to make money? Like, so obviously they're not going to offer like cause, what they sort of stoop down to. They got to have a certain amount of sort of margin, like collateral. So they can either offer you exactly what they pay for, exactly what costs them. They can perfectly balance that out and break even, basically. They can balance out their profit and their losses, right?
Yeah.
Or, fantastic idea, why don't they double the price and then they'll cover the losses and make profit? Why don't they do that? Fantastic idea. Whoever came up with that idea clearly has worked out how to lie to people, right? Yeah. So,
and also, everything is connected through these companies. Like,
there's a lot of business to business, it's called.
Yeah, they basically control the internet somehow. Like, not really control it, but they can see
access
stuff.
to.
Like, they can access your information from another website you visited. For example, that happened to me when I started my YouTube channel. I was looking into making a logo for myself for my YouTube channel, right? I didn't have any ideas, so I went on Google and I typed in logo generator, and I just wanted to see some, ideas.
Get some ideas flowing, yeah.
Yeah, something to get me started, All of the websites that I visited weren't really good, but there was this one, and I had to register myself to it. And so I did, Sure. And what happened a few days later? A company called me, a provider company called 1&1, which means 1 and 1.
Yep.
And they're also pretty popular.
I know 1&1. They're very big in. They're called 1&1 in England.
Yeah. They called me. Someone from that company called me and said they got my number from that site, from that logo generator website. I was like, what the fuck? And he said, do I own a company? And I said, why? Because they have a special offer for me to, provide internet for me and my company. Also, telephone line and stuff like that. Yeah, so basically they're willing to make a special offer for me. And then I said, no, I didn't make that for a company. I do not own a company. I made it for personal use. Oh, okay then. And he just shuts up. And I said, okay, what? Well, I can't offer you the offer anymore.
You're like, yeah, fine, whatever.
So I said, why? Because you don't own a company.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Okay, go fuck yourself then.
It's weird that they... Obviously, this is it's a whole other topic that we will cover another time. But data protection, data collection, it's something done by loads of different companies.
Oh, yeah.
And they harvest it for these big businesses so they can find out who their consumers are, who their base is. They're not trying to sell your soul or anything like that. They're just trying to sell their product to you. And the best way they can do that is knowing exactly who you are.
Yeah.
Which is terrifying. Big Brother and all. But anyway, to sort of end promptly, I'm really sorry. It's the 40 minutes is about to tick up.
Oh, nice.
So I don't know what the hell we've covered today. Jesus. We've covered cellular service, internet providing, a bit of music in there, a bit of gaming, a bit of Red Bull, quite a lot of topics.
A bit of Red Bull.
Yeah, a bit of Red Bull, why not? This is a podcast that we will be doing hopefully every so often, when we have time. Unfortunately, you know, we're busy guys, but we do have spare time quite a lot. So this is why we've decided to devote that spare time to this. We are Breading Games. That is our community. My name is Hopgood.
And I'm Gizo.
And that is Gizo, or James and Ivan, and or Ivan, sorry. And
it doesn't really matter.
Either way, depends if you're, whatever way you're from. And this is our first podcast, and I guess we hope that you guys enjoy it and interact with it, and sort of keep up for more. Really. These will be every so often. They'll be roughly 40 minutes, and they'll be covering whatever bollocks we kind of come up with. And that's why we call it.
It would also be nice to get some feedback and maybe some tips for future podcasts.
Feedback, tips, everything is important, I guess, and we really do cherish that stuff. So yeah, I guess we'll see you guys soon. Bye from me.
And bye from me.